Hey guys, Kyrie today with another YouTube video, and I got you a pretty much build guide for 80 champions in the jungle. I have some of the standard champions, also have some unique and niche champions that you can have fun on. And yeah, I'm here to help you understand the runes you can take a lot better, and just builds you can do on many types of different champions. So the assassin types, I don't know if this is like the right thing to say, but yeah, you have your standard champions, you have the champions that can kind of adapt their build a bit more. Well, like you can go like their standard bruiser kind of builds, or you can build very high damage like lethality. Then you have your niche champions, which are a lot more like fun and unique that you can do. So for overall strength, for these assassins, I think this is the power list. Honestly, I think for S tier, they can also be S plus tier depending on like comps, and just like let's say if Kane has a really good red King game or a blue King game, I think the champion can be very insane. I think Shaco is also very OP if he actually does end up snowballing. I think he's one of the most toxic champions when snowballing. So this is just my power ranking of what I think the overall strength are for the champions. If you want to really play the best assassins, I suggest playing the first three champions. They're really good. S tier champions are also good too, but they require a bit more like kind of practice. I'm so does S tier too, right? But like S and S plus tier, very good champions to play. And A tier are very kind of niche, and they can be good if you or like kind of experience on it by a little bit. The only reason why I kind of got the idea to make the video is because Profane got buffed and Axiom Arc buffed, Axiom Arc, and these are very insane items that assassins can build. If you look at your screen, which you should most likely be, these items got instantly buffed. The cost has decreased, and it's literally insane how cheap these items are now. And yeah, it helps assassins kind of function and get to the point where they're kind of unstoppable in the game. Especially like Axiom Mark, an item that is very insane. You can buy like second or third, sometimes even fourth, and this item just allows you to have more ultimate uptime, which just helps you get more picks in the mid game towards the late game. And like the enemy team just cannot breathe, because like you're just going to always have ultimate up if you are getting successful plays. So very nice items that have gone buffed in recent patches. Now these are the runes you can go. For like assassins, there are there's three kind of setups you can go, and these are the most common you would take on the champions I just showed you guys earlier, and I'm gonna go through every single one of them. First, we got Conquer. We go Triumph, Alacrity, or Legend Haste with Coup or Cut Down. I'll just get Coup and Cut Down understood right now. Basically, Coup you take versus very squishy champions, and Cut Down you take versus very like kind of tanky comps, maybe a lot of bruisers, etc. For Alacrity and Legend Haste, I put the champions down, well, next to the runes. That usually take these runes. Like you can just tell the spellcasters are taking Legend Haste, and the champions that auto attack a lot more are taking Alacrity. It's simple as that. You can go Legend Haste on like J4, Lee Sin, maybe Wukong. Probably isn't that bad, but generally like they like to auto a lot more than rotating their abilities, especially early on, so Alacrity feels a lot better than Legend Haste. Now, I'm going to show you guys the secondary runes for Conquer. There's three secondaries you can go. So if the first one is Domination, you take Sudden Impact always, and then you have the choice between Treasure or Relentless Hunter. Honestly, it's preference for those. And then there's Ulti Hunter, and I put the champions right on the red side of it that want to go Ulti Hunter usually. You don't need to, but you can if you want, if you really want it. But yeah, it's like it's kind of preference, the last row, because you just take it based off their comp or like what you really want to do in the game, because you should have a kind of a plan on how you want to snowball whenever you're locking your champion versus enemy comp. So yeah, something for you guys to like think about. Now we got Inspiration. Very consistent, very valuable, just tree in general. So free boots, always go them. You never want to go the second or third row because they're not worth it to sack boots for. Boots itself is very nice to be able to skip the purchase. Feels good, and it's very good to just be able to hit your spike sooner, like hitting like early Dirk, Brutalizer, TMA, etc. And you don't need to use money to buy 300 gold boots. And then with that, you can you can take Cosmic, Triple Tonic, or over Jack of all trades. For me personally, I think triple tonic is very high value. I think if you're not like challenger or high gem, I don't think you will get cosmic value that often. So I really suggest you take triple tonic most of your games. And if you are a champion that builds crit, you know, Jack of all trades will be very nice for you because you easily will get 10 stacks. So sorcery, this is the last secondary you can take. I like taking Transcendence Gathering over Absolute Focus. I think that's what it's called. Having like 20 extra AD based off your HP. I don't think it's that worth it, personally. I think Transcendence as a rune is incredibly OP. It gives you haste, and also when you get champion takedowns, like it says on the right, you know, you get reduced cooldown, like on your remaining cooldown of your ability, which is very nice. So I put the champions right below that really abuse Transcendence really well. And then you take Gathering Storm, which is very nice to, you know, make up for some lack of AD or just having extra AD later on into the game. First Strike. This is a rune I'm not really a big fan of, but you can go it sometimes if you think you can kind of farm gold on the enemy team. So basically like versus tanks or whatever. Champions that can really fight back and you're like a lot stronger than they are. I put the champions at the bottom right of your screen that can go First Strike. I think these are the champions that abuse it the best. You could do it on other champions, but I just don't think it's valuable compared to the bottom right champs. And then secondary, you generally want to go Domination. Nothing else is really worth it. You want to go Sudden Impact with either Treasure Hunter or Ulti Hunter. You don't really need Relentless Hunter, I feel like. You just want to make as much money as possible, or you want to greed. So Relentless Hunter doesn't really fit the theme for that, to me. Now, we got the 3 different type of Domination primaries you can go. So Electrocute versus Dark Harvest, probably a very big like take, you know, between a lot of players. I put the champions that really take advantage of the rune itself. So as you can see, only 3 champions can really abuse Dark Harvest. Even Red King. Red King, you can actually play full lethality, full AD, because your Q healing actually, you know, works off the AD you have, you know, which is very insane. Like, it's actually, if you guys ever play Red King with full damage, you would know what I'm talking about. It is beautiful when you actually are able to hit them. And then you got Hail Blades, which is a very unique rune. Only a certain amount of champions can really run it. Now, with the secondaries, when you take Domination primary, you can take, there's 3 different ones. I also put the champions at the bottom. You got free boots with triple tonic. You can also take Cosmic or Jack of all trades, but again, remember, I don't think Cosmic value is that high for lower elo players. And for Jack of all trades, if you're a crit champ, you can do it. Only Rengar can really take it if he wants, but usually Rengar wants to take like. Actually, you would take free boots if you're running Electrocute usually, or you can go Alacrity Coup with it. So that's the point. These are 3 different setups you can go. You can also, yeah, like I said, you can go Alacrity Coup on champs like Rengar, or is that really it actually? Maybe like Jordan if you want. It's not bad. If you really want the Alacrity value, but yeah, usually with Electrocute you kind of want to take runes that spike very hard in the mid game, because you're taking a very strong like early game kind of rune page. Domination is a very stat heavy, you know, you want to take advantage of it in the early game. So you want runes that help you get through that, or like give you value towards the mid game transition, or in the mid game in general. So item understanding, I'm going to show you, I'm going to talk about every item pretty much. So the best spikes in the jungle role, to me personally, Youmuu's, Hubris, and Profane. You can go other items like opportunity and stuff, but for 1 items, like these are some of the best assassin items you can buy. They feel very strong when you buy them in the right spots pretty much. Hubris, if you get them very early, so you can start stacking, is very strong. Youmuu's is a very, you know, you get it to try to profit more off it. Use the item, because the item gives you a mobility, right? So you run around. And Profane just allows you to farm quicker. And then you got stat sticks like Opportunity Collector and Voltaic. You know, these items are very strong in terms of damage, so I like to build a second usually. And then the last row, utility. So Umbral Glaive, Serpent's Fang, Axiom Mark, Edge Knight, Cleaver. To me, these items are very utility because just how the items function. One denies vision, one cuts shields. One is like it's based off. It's like your own kind of utility. Edge Knight is defensive Cleaver. So we'll talk about more throughout the build section. So now the last set of items. Armor dealers. LDR Immortal. If you're a crit champion, you can buy that over Grudge. Otherwise, you buy Grudge. Late game, IE, PD, Shiva are great items that you can buy. Some champions are very heavy, like double lethality into crit abusers, like Rengar, for example. So IE is a very insane item for that right late game, and you can sell like your boots for PD, which gives you more crit, and PD gives you a lot of attack speed, decent amount of movement speed, which is very nice. Defensive or bruiser items, these are just very strong like items that make you tankier, but they still give you a decent amount of damage. They give you a decent amount of AD and like kind of like different stats. So yeah. So for boots, you can apply this concept to every single champion on the list pretty much. So the top side of the top part of your screen are all the tempo buys. So you basically buy these when you have nothing to buy and you just want to buy boots over like a longsword or something. And they're very good on tempo for that reason because you just run out the map and like they help you try to profit more. Or you can just buy defensive boots and they make you tankier. And if you get tier 3 boot upgrades, they're insanely OP. So yeah. So the first build I'm going to talk about is just item snowballing build. I could have done like a separate slide for each single build later on, but I think this one's just very explanatory, where you just build your main core item and then you buy Profane second. And I call it item snowball because your first item, you're just going to use it as a spike. And then your second item is the farming item because you're going to buy a damage item on your first, pretty strong damage item. And then you buy Profane, so that item will allow you to farm faster. Also gives damage to your combo on a lot of different champions to just be able to snowball into your 3, 4, 5 item. And assassin items are like kind of cheap in a way because like your components are very easy to build, like Dirk and like Brutalizer. Like they're very strong spiking components. Like a Dirk at times could be stronger than a BF sword because of the amount of lethality you might have in your kit at the time, just like a weird example. So that's how you kind of want to think about items. So yeah, that's your 2 core, your first item with Profane. And then your 3+ items, you kind of want to buy more lethality. You can buy defensive items if you really want, if you have enough damage. But usually you want to just keep on lethality, buy Lost Whisper when you need it, and then you can buy items like Serpents, Axiom Mark, Opportunity, Edge Knights. So we already covered like what Profane kind of does. I put some things on your screen that you can look at. The item itself is very healthy, pretty easy to build. It gives you more damage to your combo, like I just said just now, and it helps you kind of scale. It's very actually efficient for what it does, especially after you buffed it. This item used to cost like what 3,300 gold. That was just too insane for how little it did, and only like certain champions actually needed it. And now like because they buffed it, now like a lot of junglers or assassins in general, even like not in the jungle role, use this item to just scale into the game because you want to be ahead of the curve as an assassin usually. So you need a lot of gold, you need a gold advantage and an XP advantage, and this item covers both those needs. That's why it's such a good item for assassins to buy. The first build, the first like version, is team fighting and like / picking off champions. This is a very like strong build to play in solo queue, especially the higher MR you go. You go Profane into Axiom Mark, you buy your Lost Whisper, and then usually you want to keep buying damage items, usually utility kind of items, because you kind of should have enough damage. You could go like Opportunity if you really want. And then if you have enough damage, you can buy like bruiser items like Death Stance, like 5th or 6th item, that make you very, very tanky and hard to kill. And I also put the champions that can abuse this build at the bottom of your screen. And again, bottom of your screen, champions that can abuse the build. This is the next version of it. It's more bruiser kind of assassin. So yeah, like assassins, usually you don't really want like think about bruiser items, but most of the time you should have enough damage with your 2-3 core kind of like high base like lethality type items. So items like Profane, very good with Grudge, and then you can buy like Serpents and Opportunity to like kind of round out your damage of your build. The reason why Shojin is very great is because it gives a very good amount of HP decent amount of AD, and the haste it gives is very insane. And then you want to buy like bruiser type items usually, so you're very hard to kill, and you're still able to like one shot champions if it's like the squishy champion. End of the day, also put the champions right like that kind of abuse it. You can kind of tell like they all very much abuse the haste and like the Shojin item very well. Assassin's Creed, I don't know, I just named it. I thought it was funny at the time when I was making it. Um, Pretty high scaling and like very high in damage, so it's pretty glass cannon pretty much. Like your profane, opportunity, grudge, and then you just buy more damage. And I put the champions in the bottom screen. I abuse it. You pretty much full send it, and you will just one shot anyone you get on top of pretty much. If you're able to, of course, you kind of need to be ahead of the curve. Honestly, even if you're a bit behind, you'll still do a shit ton of damage with this build. And this is one of like the better builds you should kind of just play. This is like a true version of assassin build, so yeah. This one's kind of also like a true version of assassin build, but it's a bit more utility based. You pretty much just control the map and just want to make sure the game is in your like your power or in your hands basically. So you buy like a clearing item and then you go Umbral, so you can keep clearing wards, and then you go into your higher damage items. You don't need to buy Last Whisper 30. You can buy it later. You can buy like Opportunity Serpents first, even at like Edge of Knights. And only certain champions can really abuse Umbral really well. I think it's a waste of gold to buy it on many champions. But it's a very nice build to go if you want to play a more controlled type game. Youmuu Ghostblade, probably my most favorite item, just because if you use it well and you play the game well when you get the item, you can snowball very hard. It's a very like profit item because it gives you the stats you need to be able to be anywhere on the map to pick up kills, clean up kills pretty much, and just be proactive. Very nice item to buy if you play good league. And yeah, a decent amount of champions can abuse. Actually, most assassins can buy it, so let's go over the build. So this is the best build to do. I know you can do like other niche kind of like bruiser builds, but I don't think it's really worth it when you play Youmuu's. You want to play for you want to be a tempo king. You want to buy a lot. It's a lot of Dirk items actually, if you noticed, and you buy Grudge or Last Whisper whenever you need to. I also put the champions at the bottom of your screen that can really abuse just full tempo kind of builds. You basically want to make time, or like, what do you call it? Make time for yourself. So Youmuu's, you should already generally clear pretty fast, especially that if you're buying dirt components. If you look at champions, like if you buy good items, you can clear your camps already pretty fast enough, and then you can go clean up plays and just play to invade. And you want to constantly try to build tempo by clearing fast and even like shutting down the enemy tempo. Like let's say you kill enemy jungler, now you have tempo over him, right? That's also you don't always need to do camps to build tempo. You can also kill the enemy champions, take their camps, and then you're building tempo because like now you can kind of track where they can go and then just kill them. Voltaic. This item is a one item wonder. You complete it and you pretty much want to just fight no matter what because of how much damage this item gives. If you look at the passive, it gives you so much bonus physical damage. Like it's actually just insane whoever can buy this item. But things you really want to take advantage of it because I don't think this item is actually good. The later the game goes, if you compare it to other 3-item lethality items, I think this one is kind of a mid cap. Unless you're like already extremely ahead of the enemy team, so you really need to take advantage of the 1 item spike compared to other items. Well, this one's the bruiser kind of version. I'll show you the next one. You're gonna laugh at the slide when you see it, by the way. I'm just saying, so prepare yourself for it. So you go Shojin to Grudge. There's actually a lot of items you can do this same setup. So you know, something you can learn while you play them. Because I put the champions at the bottom of the screen that can really abuse it. You pretty much are very hard to kill when you do this build, and you just keep. I mean, you do a lot of damage. It's as simple as that. You do a lot of damage, and you're harder to kill the longer the game goes. So if you snowball with this type of build, you gotta get Shojin. You become very tanky. You get Grudge. You do a lot more damage. Then you buy like Mod Death Stance. You just won't die, and that's how you become the unkillable like kind of assassin. John Wick, dude, I was like laughing when I was putting this quote. Not all I like. This is the like you will kill. You must like find them, and like you're literally the boogeyman, like, or you're gonna kill the boogeyman. Like this build, Voltaic Axiom Grudge is very much like very assassin heavy. Only 4 champions can really abuse this build. I feel like when I looked at the whole champion list, I was like kind of surprised. Because like honestly, Rengar can kind of abuse it too, but you could really want Profane, right? So you would like mix in Tiamat in this build, but like you can kind of like do the same thing on other champions, but some of them might need to have the Tiamat like Shaco and like Rengar. But these 4 champions I put are the ones that don't need Tiamat, and you just play for, to assassinate people. Now we got Opportunity. Very high damage item. It's probably one of the best items, and also like Voltaic is also very high in damage, but you know how I said like Voltaic kind of falls off. Opportunity doesn't really fall off. The movement speed you get from it on takedown and the extra lethality you get is very nice to just have. And the components are actually very, very good. Pickaxe, Dirk, pretty nice. Now we got the first version, which is just a lot of Dirk items, Dirk components. So you basically buy, it's like kind of similar to like buying Youmuu's Opportunity, Serpents, Edge Knight. Very similar to that. But now you're doing an Opportunity. You can buy Umbral Glaive second if you really want. Don't really suggest it, but I just put it there. It's fine. You can also buy Youmuu second, but I usually don't like buying Youmuu second because it's just a better first item. But yeah, you just want to buy raw damage, shit ton of damage, and I put the champions on the bottom right that can buy it. They really take advantage of Opportunity. Now we gotta play for picks. So Opportunity into Axiom Mark, and you just buy your standard items. A lot of champions can abuse this build. Basically, Axiom Mark is just the flavor of like the item of the month. It is just way too OP. It's just OP. Like, it's so cheap, and the stats it gives is so nice. Like, once you hit like level 11, usually it's like not whatever before 11, but after level 11, most champions, the ult cooldown with Axiom Mark is very low. So you can just like keep making plays and keep finding picks, which is just a very nice item. Version 3. So this one's kind of a bruiser kind of version. You go Cleaver second Opportunity, and then you just buy more lethality items. It's not bad to do when like you should probably do it when you have lots of damage on your team and no one's really buying Cleaver. You want to be a bit tankier. It's just very utility kind of based. But you can still like kill champions. Like a lot of these champions that can do this build, like Talon especially. Talon, one of his older builds was Hubris with Cleaver. He still one-shot champions if he was very high in levels. So at the end of the day, when you're playing assassins, like as long as you're ahead of the curve in terms of golden XP, you will still one-shot like 80 carries and like squishy mages. Now we got Umbral Glaive, just vision control type of item. Very easy to build. I mean, you're just spamming longswords pretty much. Usually I build Umbral if I have the perfect buy for it and I can't be asked to walk out of base without completing an item. That's pretty much the TLDR. Like, let's say you have Dirk and you just have 2 swords, and I just have perfect gold for Umbral. That's when I opt to buy it. Utility, Assassin. So, buy a lot of Dirks. You basically just buy cheap items. The reason why I consider the items cheap is because all you have to do is buy Dirk and just buy swords. Pretty much throughout the whole build, and you just, yeah, that's what you spike on. You spike on the Dirk, then the item completion, then you get on the Dirk, next item completion, etc., over and over. And yeah, I put the champions on the bottom. I can abuse utility assassin build, and it's pretty interchangeable how you can do this order. As funny as it sounds, you can go Grudge second for, it's like no joke if you really want. But usually you want to buy Grudge third. Good rule of thumb. Usually by the time you hit your third item, that's when players usually have like armor. So yeah. Hubris. It's actually the same components of as Umbral Glaive. So remember, if you think about like, if you don't want to walk out of base, you can buy Umbral, you buy Umbral. But if you're rich as hell, you buy Hubris. It's a very strong item if you get stacks. I actually just don't like building it that much. Because it's just a very high risk, high reward kind of item. Where it's like, you get it, and if you don't keep snowballing, you like kills and get stacks. Like, the item is just terrible. Just my own opinion. Like, I'd rather have like Youmuu's or like Voltaic or even Opportunity over this item. And it's also like quite expensive to buy. Yeah, Voltaic is also expensive. We kind of covered it, but the thing is, like, the spike itself, it gives you a lot of damage compared to Hubris. Like, Hubris, on the item completion, the damage isn't that high compared to other lethality items, in my opinion. Like, unless you get stacks. Like, once you start hitting, like, the 5 to 10 stacks, you know, keep getting stacks, I think that's when it becomes a very strong item. So, Assassin King, just a very raw lethality build. I put the champions at the bottom of your screen. I can go with this build. And, yeah, you just go full damage, and anytime you see a champion on your screen, you will pretty much one-shot them. Simple as that. Yeah. Now we got Unkillable Assassin. You know, kind of the same thing. We kind of went over it before. You can also do it with Cleaver, but if you do Cleaver, then you buy like lethality items. No, you can't go Last Whisper, and then you can buy like Bruiser items. But I'm gonna show you the Shojin version. I think going Cleaver version is not really worth it. I think if you're in the lower MMR brackets, so be like GM, I would suggest always going Shojin, in my opinion. And then you just buy Grudge, and then you can just buy whatever you want. Usually you buy Bruiser items if you have enough damage. A good item you can buy that gives you some damage is Opportunity, and then you can buy your Bruiser items. That's usually how I kind of like just building my assassins. So Opportunity is just a very great item to buy if you haven't built it already, just to give you more, just the extra damage you kind of need for the rest of the game. Okay, this is very like just the specific champion kind of builds that I can't really use the builds earlier in the video. So Shaco, this is the like standard Shaco build that you want to do. You always want to go Zerker Greaves, and then you want to do Youmuu's Profane, and then buy all the crit items pretty much. And you usually go Hail Blades. You want to go Zombie Ward because again you're a little cheeser. You want to know where the wards are. And you go Relentless Hunter so you can run around the map. Shaco is actually a champion that thrives off Opportunity. You actually don't want to farm that much. If anything, you actually want to spam gank a lot early on. And then once you hit the Tiamat, that's when you start farming a lot more, while also thinking about being proactive, right? So you be proactive. You can still be as proactive as you were in the early game, in the mid game, but you can actually prioritize farming camps because you actually can clear them a lot faster with levels and Tiamat. And if there's something on the map, you go to it, right? So you're very Opportunity kind of based. This kind of Viego build is very assassin in a way because like you're kind of just waiting and just like waiting to one-shot people. Just look at the items themselves. You're basically like full all in, and you go Hail Blitz so you can weave in those autos after you use your abilities pretty much. And yeah, you just buy crits, and this is a very standard like way of like building where you buy 2 lethality items, and especially one of them being Collector because it gives crits is a very nice item. For that reason. Gives lethality plus crit. It's just very nice because then once you start buying more crit, get your LDR and then get your IE, I mean, you just do too much damage. Way too much damage. It's like ungodly unhealthy. Udyr. I'm not very much an experienced Udyr player, but this is like what I've seen in the past, and it kind of makes sense. You just go double lethality into crit. Simple as that. You can go Profane. You can go Collector. You can also go just everything. You can also sell your boots for like PD later on to have 100% crits if you already don't have it. Like for the first build, Youmuu's Profane. Yeah, very fun build you can do. Hope you like just try it out and see how it feels. If any of you guys do play Udyr, you know, let me know if there are some assassin builds that I don't even know about. I'm sure if I thought about it a bit more, I probably can figure some out. But you know, this is the one I kind of thought about right away, and it makes the most sense in my head. The last champion. Rek'sai. So for Rek'sai, I think Youmuu's is probably his best item just to be able to run around, and I think Profane or Titanic, whichever one, either can be good. Maybe Titanic is better than Profane. I could be wrong though, but yeah, you buy that and then you just buy crit, and hey, you just play to one shot people with your crit items, pretty much TLDR, and it's like kind of Kritsai. Kritsai was actually a thing back in the day, and I think this was always her like kind of best, like highest damage kind of build. And also Action Mark is a great item that you could buy on this champion just to have your ults up sooner, or just even more in general. So yeah.